So you told me you were in LA for a while. Where are you going?
Yeah. Um, where am I going next, or where was I?
Let's do both. Where were you?
Oh, I was in well, I had a few things with my band.
Yeah.
The BBC. We had a show. We had a festival, our first uh, European festival in Amsterdam, and it went really great. And we
Sick.
played a gig in Greece as well. It was a wedding gig actually in
Okay.
Greece, which was really really cool. Again, playing like our original music, so that was nice. And then in the before and after that, I was with the Jacksons in Toronto and Philadelphia and some other cities too. They kind of slip in my mind right now.
Yeah, it all just runs together, right?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Cool. Let's go. Let's go back. Let's go back. I know you're from Memphis.
Yes, sir.
I got a lot of questions about this. One. Well, let's start here. When did you start playing the bass? What age?
I started probably started playing the bass around 14. I started playing drums when I was 2 though.
Oh, damn. Okay.
And so it's I've been since conception bitten by the music bug. You know, my whole family plays and sings and so I get it honest, really very honest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But the bass around 14, 15.
Okay. So coming up in Memphis, which has a long, amazing lineage of music and American music history.
Yeah.
What were you hearing live, like around? Like what kind of things were you exposed to live music wise? I mean, we'll get into the recordings too.
A
But
whole lot of gospel, man. Gospel,
mhm.
blues, and jazz, but mainly gospel and blues, R&B.
Yeah.
It was funk in there, but I didn't know what the funk was when I was at that age. I didn't know that what that was
Right.
totally. Not until I turned like maybe 17, 18, 19, something like right in there when I really like, oh, okay, this is the funk. Okay, I see what it is.
And who was it? Was it Ohio Players, Parliament, James Brown? How'd you get in?
I call him Uncle James. It had to have been James Brown. James Brown and Tower of Power.
Okay.
As far as funk, when I realized what the difference, what funk truly was, and some Stevie too, because some deep cuts like his early solo stuff, like when he started producing his own stuff, that stuff is extremely funky.
Mm-hmm.
And so like those type of records.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't
Okay.
the Parliament Funkadelic thing, I really honestly I didn't even get soak that in until maybe 2000 and believe it or not 2017,
Oh, that's recent.
18, when I was really because I wasn't I didn't dive deep in their music like that
Right.
until about 2017.
It's a different thing, man. They had I mean, I'm kind of similar. Like I didn't get into them until later because
Mhm.
it's like I was, still learning about harmony and still learning about how to play a bass line through changes and do all this, and they're not, they
Mhm.
got the one chord. Uh, so I didn't. It was kind of both over my head, and I thought wasn't interesting because there wasn't a lot of harmony. So I didn't get into it till later. But
Yeah.
then once I began to understand it all.
You see how much harmony is really in there once
Right,
you
right, right.
understand it, right?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like that at first. Totally like my thing was my family was a bit well is more conservative, so they didn't even look at it that music the same. They didn't like they didn't even want me listening to that music when I was a kid, you know,
Okay.
because of the subject matter
Yeah.
and a lot of different things. Because grew up in a religious, but not super strict, but religious household
Okay.
back in Memphis.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. But you're playing in the church. What age you start
yeah.
playing in the church?
When I
Two. We is that when
yeah, I
when you
was.
start playing the drums at
I
two?
mean, I started playing drums in church for real. When I was about 11, 12, I started getting paid to play in church.
Okay.
So they would, and my family, they wouldn't let me play any fast songs. I had to only play ballads until I learned how to make the ballads feel good. Then I couldn't play any up tempo stuff.
Really?
Yeah, so that I attribute a lot of my musicality to that. I hated it then,
Of
but
course.
that discipline took me so long because I had to learn how to be musical. I had to learn how to use dynamics. I had to learn how to use structure, and
For
this was
sure.
on drums, at that
Yeah.
time. So it was being musical on the bass is an easy transition for me.
That's kind of killing, man. Instead of parents just being like, "Oh, that's my boy, he's playing," and just like let him go, let him go. Like they're like, "No, no, no, no. All right, you had your turn. Come on out. They're about to do
Yeah,
something up tempo."
seriously,
That's
seriously, and
hilarious.
it took
That's
me.
hilarious.
I'm thankful for that because, but it was I hate like I said I hated it then. Oh Lord, but it was good for me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So then what year do you come out here to
In
LA?
2007,
Okay.
2007, I was 22. If you're going by years of age,
Yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
22 when I came here, which was really exciting.
Okay.
Really exciting.
What brought you out? Just give LA a go, or did you have some?
No, it was I was being obedient to. I guess again, everything with me is spiritual.
Mhm.
It starts from a spiritual place and then it manifests itself in real time. Like my band, the band that I was in at that time, a band called New Genesis,
Okay.
that we had a bunch of records and stuff that we put out. Like I've been releasing original music since I was like 17, 18, 19 years old. And I got a bunch of success from that, like locally and nationally too, with some things. From I was signed to this thing called Hypnotize, to a label called Hypnotized Minds as a producer and bass player, which is 3 6 Mafia's label.
Okay.
So the song you hear, like I played on a bunch of classic bass lines, like "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp" that got an Oscar award.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Hustle and Flow, right?
the Hustle and Flow,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
That's
like
my.
that movie.
I
Terrence
was,
Howard.
yep. I
Yeah,
was 19 years old, and I played on that Emmy winning song, Oscar winning song, which is really cool.
yeah, yeah.
And
Did you get the statue?
no, I get a certificate
Okay,
for playing on a big in participation, but I don't get a statue.
okay.
Um, but I got the credit for playing on it,
Yeah,
so that's
dude, the
good.
credit's better than all of it. The
Uh,
credit's better than all of it.
it's really nice. And then like uh forgive me, what was your original question? Forgive me, I lost track of thought there.
I did too. I was thinking about the movie.
Yeah.
Well, what I don't know where
Oh,
were we?
LA. Yeah. So my
Yeah.
band moving to LA, it was everything is spiritual. We did a fast for 8 hours, 7 days, 8 hours, no food, no water. And
Hmm.
we were just meditating and praying. And then at the end of the 7 days, we heard, move to Los Angeles.
And
And
who was this? Was this your family or was this some
my band.
musicians?
This is my
Okay.
band, New Genesis, that I was in. And we
Okay.
transitioned to so many other things because in that band, we all grew up together.
Hmm.
From like middle school on, some younger than middle school, and ended up coming out here and kind of we came here to play our own music, like to do original stuff, but then we kept getting these calls like Boyz II Men, and we were turning down all these gigs, and then we couldn't. We had to start taking them, So that band, we kind of lost focus on what we wanted to do as a band and started just doing individual gigs and stuff. But those gigs were like the Jacksons and Stevie Wonder
Right.
and
Those are
you know,
the not bad gigs. Like those are
yeah,
all those are all super
these were
high
all,
profile,
yeah.
legendary acts.
So that happened, but I was always on mission here, and which is why you got the Brandan Brown Collective, the
Hmm.
BBC, because is really once I noticed that that band wasn't gonna be a band anymore, I was like, well, let me focus on my solo stuff, my bass stuff, and then that turned into this big funk band, and and so
So what happened? What happened? Did New
New
Genesis just
Genesis,
kind
yeah.
of dissipate because everybody got busy with their own careers,
Well,
individual careers, or was
you could
there some internal
You can
Like, yeah,
say
we need to pull the plug on this.
no, that never happened.
Okay.
It was just people just yeah, it just people had start taking gigs
Yeah.
and the projects just time wasn't putting into those projects anymore and started focusing on other things.
Okay.
So yeah, that happened, but we still like the core group is still around. So
How
that's
many of
really
them are
good.
in the Brandan Brown collective?
Two,
Okay.
two out of the five.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
So during that time when you're doing like these major tours, Boyz II Men, you started with Isaac Hayes, right? Was that your
Yeah,
first big
and
gig?
we
Yeah.
Isaac Hayes, and we all were in that. We're playing with Isaac. He taught us how
Okay.
to write music.
How much
Yeah,
of that do you think, in retrospect, was a loss of focus or more of a training ground to like really understand what it is to conduct yourself on a high level and almost preparation for where your collective can go?
yeah. Which part of it? Being in the band, being in New Genesis, or playing with Isaac
No,
Hayes?
playing with the big acts and like
Oh,
that
all
kind
right.
of being a
Well, yeah,
training ground to grow you as a musician and as a
yeah.
professional to prepare yourself for what's coming next.
That's a great point. It definitely added a lot of knowledge and
Yeah,
experience, and which was, you know, you can't beat that. You can't buy that. You can't
right.
go to school for that. You have to be in there. So it was definitely beneficial for us to do that and take advantage of those opportunities and the knowledge. So I am thankful for that. I kind of, I guess, wish that the knowledge that I have now I could have applied it then. But
That's always the thing, isn't
but
it?
yeah, but at the same time, I do understand that it was all for a great purpose. So
Sure.
I don't wish that too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where's Brandan Brown Collective at now? Are you guys releasing some music? Are you looking to do bigger tours and not private
Mhm.
events as much as just actual concerts,
Well,
either in the States or abroad?
we just did our first festival overseas.
Hmm.
First big festival, which was they play our music on the radio in Amsterdam,
Oh, dope.
which is really really nice.
Yeah.
A lot of our fans are there. A lot of our fans are in Europe. We
Okay.
got a lot of fans here in the States too, and we've played a bunch of shows here. A bunch of sold out all the venues here in Los Angeles, like
Yeah.
sold tickets and all of that stuff.
LA's the
But
hardest place, man. When you're in LA, like when you live here, and if you're
mhm.
working here regularly, it's the hardest thing to do to sell a $15 ticket because they can see you any other night of the week at some other
Mm,
gig or whatever.
yeah, always I've been blessed to I've always been called or asked to do something or invited. I didn't really go. I was doing a whole lot. I mean, I'm talking about working my butt off. I just what I do is keep in touch with people. I'm really
Yeah.
good at communicating and I'm good at being professional and like and being diligent with that sort of thing. That's taken I mean, that's how we ended up really being here and people hearing us because I knew certain people's faces. Like before there was
Okay.
before the internet, our so taking it back to the church, our church came here in 2006 um to visit another church and we had a night off and we had found a sign that said live music. I had just turned 21, 22, 21 years old, and we were walking, we saw a place that said live music. Okay, cool, let's go in here. So me and the guitar player, my boy Kyle Bolden, we walk in there and I see Jerry Brown and Ricky Lawson. So
Okay.
these two people, they play drums
Yeah.
for Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, oh shit, man. You know, these no one knew who they were. They were just sitting there in the corner. I just
Yeah.
went up and fanned out on them.
Where
And
was it? What
this
club? Do
was
you
at
remember?
Harville's. At
Okay.
Harville's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. In Santa Monica.
Yeah, sure.
And so they we talked to them and I told them why we were there. And they was like, man, go get the rest of the band, come back. Cause it was a Monday night where they still do
Mm-hmm.
that jam.
Yeah, they still
So I
do it.
went and got them, got everybody, came back to the hotel. Came back to the venue. And the guy who was running the jam didn't want to let us play. And Ricky, rest in peace to Ricky Lawson, he said, let them boys play. They from Memphis, Tennessee. He said, all right, y'all can play one song. And we ended up playing 4 songs that night.
Okay.
Ended up keeping in touch with the manager. We drove back to LA for a free gig all the way from Memphis. Drove.
Ooh,
We did it in 22 hours. Drove from Memphis to LA, just straight boom. Did the gig.
damn.
Did the free gig, and then from there, like met all these people, and then Ricky took us around, and we started just kind of sitting in everywhere we could because we had like maybe a week here. And then
Okay.
we was like, man, that's when it started really brewing. Like, man, we should be in LA. And that's when we went back and did that fast.
Yeah.
And then we ended up moving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
then Boyz II Men, no, Isaac Hayes was your first major tour here.
Well, that was in Memphis. We were already doing that while we lived in Memphis.
Oh, when you were in Memphis. So what was the first one out here? Was that Boyz II Men?
First one
Okay.
out here was Boyz II Men, correct. Excuse me.
Cool.
Yeah.
What year was this? So you're out here in 07, 2008.
Yeah.
So man, you're fresh here. You're a newbie and you already landed like a big gig. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a blessing.
Did that just happen from being out in the clubs and networking? And
yeah, from playing and a guy named Rex Salas, who was their musical director at the time.
mm-hmm.
He was like, man, I got to get you guys on this gig. And so it worked out. That worked out nice.
Yeah. How long were you out with them?
I was with them for about 2-3 years.
Okay.
And in the middle of that, playing with like those first few years, it was Boyz II Men, Chris and Michelle, Leona Lewis, and Jessica Simpson.
Oh, damn.
So those were my first few gigs between 2007, 8, 9. And then from there, I went to doing American Idol tours.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I did let's see. Oh yeah, Black Eyed Peas and Fergie.
Okay.
And then I'm missing the Jacksons. That's the Jacksons came in from the same guy, Rex Salas. So how I got the Jacksons gig was that band, New Genesis. We were playing with the late great Ollie Woodson. He was one of the lead singers from Temptations.
Okay.
And he treated us like his sons. And he was so close. I miss him, think about him all the time. Anyway, this guy.
I opened up for them in Oklahoma one time, like years ago. And I think there was I can't remember how many. I think there was 2 original people left, maybe 1.
And what year was this?
Ooh, that is a great question. What are we in now? 22? Maybe 12? 2012, 2014?
Yeah, Ollie had passed by then. So
okay.
Yeah, he wrote the song called "Treat Her Like a Lady." That was like a big hit song. He wrote that song. And anyway, Rex saw us playing with him, and he was like, "Man, I got this gig for y'all, man. This Michael gig is coming up." We was like, he would always tell us this, and because he's also Janet's MD,
okay,
for a bunch of years, like the Rhythm Nation and Velvet Rope tours. He was the music director, and he's also married to Rebe, which is the oldest sister of the Jackson family, married to her daughter.
Okay,
so he's a Jackson.
Yeah.
And so he was he said, I got this gig for y'all, and he was talking about MJ. So we actually got called to be MJ's band.
Damn.
And I was ready. I already knew all the songs, ready to go, because he was going to change his band. But he passed away before that could happen. And
Mike?
Yeah.
That's when Mike passed.
And so when he, and when we were talking about Michael Jackson, and I like to say this too. I've always felt like MJ is my angel ever since I was a little kid. See, my mom, that's how I learned how to play the bass, was learning the Jackson 5 songs.
Yeah.
Stevie Wonder, the Jacksons, Marvin Gaye. I'm a Motown kid, basically. And so
now, did you to hit pause real quick, did you identify with the Motown label more than the Stax label?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because,
what do you think that was? Like, I'm fascinated by music and geography, and like Memphis had a sound, and their approach to soul music and Johnny Taylor and all that was much different than the Motown thing, and drastically different from what was happening in Muscle Shoals. But they're all, it's all soul, but it's all a very different version of it. Totally. So what was it about Motown?
Because it was pretty.
Yeah.
It had the bells, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it had lush strings. It
Hmm.
had the bass, which was like all over the place. You know, it
Yeah,
was so
yeah,
melodic. It was
right.
so groovy, and the
And a lot of times, like
drums.
pretty hot in the mix.
Totally. I mean, it
Yeah.
was the number, but well, Motown got there. Barry Gordy moved to Memphis. This is a not really known story, but you can check it out in his book. But Barry moved to Memphis for a long time, for not a long time, for maybe a year or so. He was going back and forth from Memphis just to kind of understand Stax, like how they ran Stax and what they did, what was that sound. And
Was
that's
he
why
trying to
James.
snipe him? Was he trying
Well,
to?
I mean, he's getting knowledge, you know what
Okay.
I mean? Like understanding the game, and
Yeah.
they were aware of it, you know, because they knew Barry. So they knew Mr. Gordy. So he was just getting knowledge. And he noticed how the bass was always up high. So Jamerson always said was really the only, if you look at the routing of how they mixed early Motown records, Jamerson was one of the only things that had his own input. Everything else was
Mm,
shared. The
okay.
bass, it was like that number 8 channel on their board. He would always have his own line.
Okay.
So that was how Memphis did it. Bass was always down his own channel,
Mm.
and so it he learned that technique from Stax and
Oh,
incorporated it
interesting.
into Motown.
Okay.
So like Stax is still and plus I was Stax. You gotta understand this too. Stax, when I was born, it already ended. Like Stax ended in 1968 when
Hmm.
Dr. King was murdered in Memphis, which where white people could not go to South Memphis. Like literally, they were getting sniped. Like white people when Dr. King was killed, no more white people were allowed in South Memphis for like a while. And so Stax was an integrated label. It was people working together. You know, that's what music does. Music brings
Yeah.
all facets of life together. And so when that happened, the music literally stopped. In the industry, everything stopped
Hmm.
because they couldn't even do it. Like Steve Cropper, Doug Dunn, they couldn't go back over there.
Right. 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 I
You
didn't
know,
know that actually. I didn't know that.
yeah,
That it was
most
all a reaction to Dr. King's assassination.
1968
Wow, crazy.
couldn't do it. You literally had to stop the music. So, and then the label folded. The whole
Yeah.
industry, Memphis left. Everything got got terminated
Hmm.
as a
Okay.
result of that. And so, which is another reason probably why Motown stuck out so much. And I have a lot of family from Chicago, so I would when all my Thanksgivings and summers, I was up north listening to all the Motown stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and so it just really just hit me. My mom used to get teased for being such a big Jackson 5 fan. It was crazy. And so then her son ends up being their MD and bass player. And I had Jermaine call her for her birthday several times. She's just going crazy,
Oh, that's awesome.
you know, stuff like that. You know, so
Yeah.
it's funny how things can turn around for you
Yeah.
um, through all these different ways.
Yeah. What did it feel like the first time you get to a rehearsal with Stevie or the Jacksons or any of these legends that you were growing up with, and now all of a sudden you're in the room and you're on the gig. Like
Yeah, it's really
what
cool.
was that?
Um, this is a dream come true again.
For sure.
Like for me, I actually expected those things to happen, and one of those things to happen, and knew that the love that I have, like I just expected it. So I wasn't too surprised. I was just extremely happy that I was able to witness it
Yeah, that it was coming
in
to
my
fruition and all that,
life.
but
You know, I'm very always thankful, but I wasn't. I knew I deserved to be there, and I knew that I loved it so much,
yeah,
and that the love just shined through everything and allowed me to be there. That's how I feel about
nice.
it.
I mean, did you struggle with self-doubt and wondering if you know, I think that there's some kind of term for it now. I believe it's called imposter syndrome,
Mhm.
where it's just like you think you're not really ready or equipped to be in some of these chairs or graduate to these different things in life.
Mm.
Did you feel a sense of that? Did you, or was there
No,
always a deep rooted kind of like, yeah, cool.
yeah,
I've been waiting for this since I touched the bass the first time. It's about time that I'm.
yeah. I didn't look at it really any of those either way like that. It was just natural flow of progression. Like it's just this is what this is supposed to happen. That's how I
Yeah.
felt. I felt like this was no, I'm not surprised because like of course this would happen because I put so much time into it,
Sure.
so much love and just I don't think um low thoughts. I do my best to always keep my imagination open, to all the different possibilities. And I don't do too much low self-esteem stuff, like especially with all the preparation that I've done beforehand. Like I don't need to have no purpose to feel like I don't belong because I've
Right.
worked,
You
my
put in the
butt off
time.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So
And then
that's
so
more how I feel about it. Yeah.
I mean, so you're growing up, you're listening to the Jacksons, you're now on the Jacksons. Was there at any point in your career, your earlier career, that you got formal bass training, or was it all from the records?
That's a great question. So I had uh, when I was 15, I took a bass lesson, and a guy, God bless this guy, but he was just like, I can't really show him things right now because he says he's at a level where he's still discovering things for himself, and also he's like he's doing things that I'm not doing yet either. And so it's a very weird time. And that was when I was like maybe 15, 16. So it was very interesting time. So I did do a lesson. But I mainly, man, I was also blessed, man. So how I started playing the bass is because I was Jermaine Jackson, like as far as visually, I want to be like Jermaine Jackson. Then
Okay.
when I heard Victor Wooten's version of Overjoyed,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is
Show of
another
hands, right?
correct, which
Yeah.
is another Motown song,
Mm-hmm.
ironically enough, I started crying, man. I was like, yo, I gotta learn how to do this.
Yeah. I never
And
even heard the tune, and I think I heard Wooten do it first. And then I had to go
exactly,
backwards. Yeah.
exactly. That's cool. That's the beautiful thing about discovery, like and art. Like you don't know how it's gonna come at you,
Right.
like, but then when it does, you go deep and see like the origins of stuff. You're like, wow, he created this from this.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And so Victor Wooten. Okay. So then when I'm 16, 17 years old, the internet is like websites are coming out and Victor's posting about his base nature camp. I applied for it the first camp. I didn't make it. I was devastated.
Yeah.
Second time, Victor Wooten calls my house.
What the
My
hell?
dad is like, hey, Victor Wooten's on the phone for you. I was in my room practicing. I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm serious. And I pick up the phone and it's really him. It's like, oh shoot, Victor Wooten, man, how you doing? Hey, Brandon, we'd love to have you at the camp, but you're underage, so we just need to get your parents' permission. You need to have a chaperone. Okay,
Okay.
cool. So my parents couldn't take me because they're working. So
Yeah.
then I thank God for my big cousin Nate.
Okay.
He took me to the camp, and also my brother Stanley went with me to drop me off, and my cousin Lance. And so we all got in the car and rode from Memphis up to Nashville, which was actually, it wasn't in Nashville, it was in a park, which is now Wooten Woods, that he actually ended up buying.
Oh, really?
But it was a Montgomery Bell State Park. I never get this. And right there on I-40, which is I'm from Memphis, so he's right up the road,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like for me, like when I tell you like things that mean something to me, they always happen. Like it's
Yeah.
very specific. And so like even with Victor Wooten calling my house when I was 16, so that's when I actually had bass lessons because it was with Victor Wooten at the Bass Nature Camp. So it's
So
Victor
your first
Wooten,
lessons were with Victor Wooten.
Victor
It
Wooten,
doesn't suck.
Reggie Wooten,
Yeah.
Christian McBride, Edgar Meyer,
Okay.
freaking Chuck Rainey, which we have the same birthday, June 17th.
Oh, really?
Yep. And then of course the great Steve Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
So all these guys were there on that first camp, and Anthony Wellington
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah.
MC Divinity. I was so nervous because you have to introduce yourself to the campers is you just play.
Play
You have
you?
30 seconds to introduce yourself on the bass.
Yeah, yeah.
Saying no words, just playing. And I was so nervous. I got up right in the middle of it and had to go and I threw up and diarrhea all over the place because I was just so nervous. It's like meeting Michael Jackson. Like imagine
Of
a
course.
singer and a dancer, and then Michael Jackson calling your house and inviting you to his camp to
Sure.
learn how to sing and dance.
Right.
So that's how that was for Victor Wooten as a bassist. It's like Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, like
Yeah.
asking you to come to his camp and learn how to play.
And now at this
Basketball.
age, were you already hip to the other teachers at the camp or instructors? Were you hip to Steve Bailey and Rainey? And did you know kind of who they were in the continuum of bass?
Well, at that time, I'd only knew about Chuck Rainey because of Dancing Machine and Donny Hathaway records that he did, or Aretha Franklin and things like that. So I was only really familiar with him, and Steve Bailey because of Basic Streams.
Yeah,
vaguely. And so, and of course, the Wooten brothers, I was familiar with them because of Vic. And so, getting a chance to meet them, and through that week, I ended up getting like a scholarship at the end of the whole thing to go to the Bass Collective in New York City, but I couldn't go because I had gigs with my band, so I didn't go to the New York thing. But I ended up going back to the camp again. But in the middle of that, like Victor, whenever he would, like he had a show in Fayetteville, Arkansas, when we went, and he invited me up to play with him.
Oh wow!
Up on the stage, totally surprised, didn't know that was gonna happen.
Wow!
And like stuff like that. Like I've been so blessed, you know, to live my dreams and see a lot of different things. So Victor was my teacher. You know, he was actually my first teacher.
Okay.
Which was crazy.
It's also fascinating that, to kind of circle back of what it might have felt like walking into the room with Stevie or the Jacksons, there's almost like a conditioning that's taken place in your life of like meeting heroes. Not it's always special. It's always special, but it's not foreign. You know, you can meet your heroes and be like, yeah, wow, now I'm studying with Vic. Okay, cool. And then that changes the scope of the mental game a little bit. It's like, all right, well, if I was just taking lessons from Vic and he called the house, then why can't I play? It's very empowering and encouraging, things like that.
Very much so. Very inspiring, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, wow, like this really happened. You know, I really wanted this to happen. I put the work in. I kept a positive attitude about it. And then bam, it happened. And that's another thing too with Vic. I adopted a lot of his mentality too from on that, because at the camp I learned, like, you learn survival techniques. You know, it's not just music, or not just the bass. You learn just different things. I learned how to track. I learned how to walk barefoot. You know, I learned how to like build a fire. I slept outside for the first time. You know, in a tent or a cabin, log cabin. It was some really cool experience.
What's the tie-in to music with the nature survival things?
Well, it was about being aware, paying attention, working with others, like not speaking with others or speaking. Same with music, like. And we got a chance to see Bela Fleck and the Flecktones, which is the most amazing thing. Like the whole band, they came and did a surprise performance. Yo, that's the coldest shit I've ever seen.
Dude, I've seen him live a couple times. Like that's my favorite. Like I'm a huge Bela Fleck fan. I went down the rabbit hole and bought all these records he was on, not only with Edgar Meyer, but this band he had in the 80s called Newgrass Revival.
Yes, I know that band.
Yeah, I'm
amazing music, bro. Like just next level, like hillbilly shit, man, but on some amazing, it's amazing.
Like Hillbilly meets Return to Forever.
Right. It's incredible, bro. It's incredible.
I love that band. I used to listen to Left of Cool religiously. Yeah, that was the record.
Oh man, you bringing back some memories. You bringing back some memories there. That was fun times. Yeah. But like, you know, growing up and getting a chance to have all those experiences firsthand definitely did a whole lot for my confidence. Sure. And a lot for my my mindset of what I believe to be possible. Yeah.
What's kind of, how are you, where's your mind at knowing that and that being your mindset? how are you putting that mindset towards the Brandan Brown Collective right now? Like,
Well,
what
that's
kind of things are you? I don't want to say manifesting because I think that word gets there's some gray area in that word that I don't always like. Believing in what there's because yours is more of a faith thing, but an assurance. It's not just this. I'm going to speak it into existence. That's why I don't want to
right.
use manifest.
Right.
Yours is an assurance of something that's you can't prove yet.
Right. I think what manifesting is just a result of things that happen in your life. That's just what
Yeah,
manifest. That's we have those all the time. Like
sure.
people put a lot of emphasis on manifestations, but it's just like breathing. You're gonna breathe.
Right, right,
So
right,
things are
right,
gonna
right.
manifest. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? It's not that deep, right?
yeah.
Like how you're saying. So with the band, I think like I said, we just playing our first festival overseas, our original music. It's like such a big accomplishment for me. Like
Man, to go
it's
international with your own
like,
group, that's
yeah, it's
huge.
like whoa. I don't take that lightly or take it like it's not a big deal. And it's not I don't take it like it's not like it's like I've made it or anything like that too.
Sure.
But I've made but in other words, it's just such a great feeling and accomplishment to see like what's possible because it was just a simple idea and just
Hmm.
watching it grow to this and to see where it could go, where the possibilities are. I'm very thankful. So mainly what I'm doing is just we have new music that we're putting out this holiday season, so that's
Okay.
gonna be nice. And
Is
and
there any relation to the holidays? Is it holiday music?
maybe not. No,
Okay.
this is gonna be some fun. This is just gonna
Good.
happen around that
Honestly,
time.
I'm burnt on holiday music.
For
Either
sure.
you need to like can all the old stuff and someone just needs to come out with some new stuff,
Yeah.
or we just need to do away with it altogether. But I can't handle another 40 years of listening to Rudolph. You know what I mean? Like we
That's
just need to
so
do
funny.
something about this.
Yeah. It's those songs I think are good for those publishers that wrote them years
Oh
ago.
yeah,
Like
it's
they'll have,
great for those people.
you know what I mean? Like that's how I look at stuff now. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's gonna be good for their families because it
Yeah,
only happens like once a year where they can rack up on
so much money.
those
Yeah,
spins, you know. So but I feel you. Christmas music. I think it's just a good time to put out music because people are probably interested in hearing something new
yeah,
around that time to
sure.
play. So
I
I think
agree.
that's more or less the motivation for this because I know people would are typically will be with their families. So
Yeah,
uh, uh, that'll be cool.
yeah, and I
Um,
think I think during that season specifically, there's definitely going to be music on. You know, whatever the gatherings are.
yeah,
If you're doing family dinners or business dinners, whatever, people are playing music. You know,
right.
a lot more maybe that time of year, which is nice.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So is that going to be a full length thing you're doing? Is it going to be a full length record, another EP?
Yeah, yeah. It might be 10 songs.
Okay,
Putting all our songs out, like the singles that we have. We're gonna put them. Those singles that are out now, plus some more songs are gonna be put on there.
nice, nice. So how much? Where are you at in the process now? Are you kind of just curating the tune list, or
Artwork.
is there's artwork?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's almost done then.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Did you do the artwork?
I'm excited. No, I didn't do it myself, but getting it commissioned, yes.
Mm. How did you approach the artist? Like, did you give him a concept? Did you give him some? Did
Yeah,
you
I
have
have
him check out the music and just be like, "Yo, however the music moves
yeah.
you, work it
Hmm.
out"?
Yeah. He listened to the music and I had a concept and I liked the artist work previous to working with him.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, could you maybe do something like this or that? So
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see how it comes out.
All right. So, being from Memphis, have you guys done tours in the South?
Yeah, we
Have you
played
done?
back home. Yeah, we
Yeah,
played back home a few
as
times.
well received, not only from friends and family, but the
Yeah,
greater.
from people that didn't know us, because I actually, my fan base. So I left when I was 22. So the fan base that I built while I was there, I don't have them that
Right.
much anymore because I was gone all those years. So it's cool to just to be building up and because people especially when I meet people now, they're like, man, yeah, we were like a a legend, like a tall tale or something. But it wasn't
Yeah.
real. So when we do go back home, it's nice to get the love like that and play back in Memphis, and it's like, wow, this is great. And then people are so talented there. I mean, like, good God, there's so much talent in Memphis,
Yeah.
so much talent, and so I'm happy to see the city getting a chance. A lot of people that are from Memphis are starting to really be known and stuff. So that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
What's are you? Is this a big DIY project for you? Are you self-managing the collective?
Correct. Yeah, it's me and I have a manager that I work with that I bounce ideas from, but that's kind of just it, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
What words of advice? Because I mean, the DIY market is easy in some senses because everybody who creates something can put it somewhere or whatever, show it off on social media or streaming platforms. But have any advice from, like, you've been on the road with majors and you've been in the game and you've been around like the industry of the industry, like the heavies.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure you've probably gleaned some things from that and how the industry works that you can apply towards the Brandan Brown Collective. What
Mhm.
advice would you give to people out there on the DIY tip?
Man, it's so many different ways to play the game
Mm-hmm.
because you can buy your way into it. If you got the pockets for that, then do that.
Yeah.
But if you don't have,
that's the suggestion.
Seriously.
Have you got the money, pay for it.
if you do, just pay for it. But if you don't, build up your fan base by having great music, great shows, having a great look or something that's just gonna get people interested in your music.
Yeah.
Because the fans, it's all about the fans.
Sure.
Gotta have fans, gotta have people that's interested and want to like hear what you're doing or see what you're doing. And
yeah, if there's no demand, then why supply? You know what I mean? Like
exactly. So that has to be there first. And if you're not gonna, like I said, if you're not gonna buy the numbers and buy the fans, then just keep pushing your thing, keep pushing it as best you can in whatever creative ways that you can. And also I would say really learn how to, like, it's not a fairy tale, but use your imagination. Like, really only think about what you want. Like, what do you really want?
Right. Like, don't be afraid to dream.
Yeah. And then like
that's beautiful.
Once you have what it is that you want, then work towards that. Work towards that. Like, only think about that. Focus on that thing. And before you know it, man, the universe, God, whatever you believe in, this thing will send you all the people that you really need.
Yeah.
You won't have to go out searching for it. I know for so long I was like, man, I wish I had this. I wish I had a manager. I wish I had someone to kind of help me organize this stuff. And I was looking, and one day I stopped looking, and then bam, found the right person. It's
nice.
So interesting how it works, because one thing I do know about the world, and I study quantum physics and this sort of thing a lot. So like, whatever you're looking for is not looking for you. Once you stop looking for it, then it's gonna look for you.
Really? I've noticed that concept kind of in life before, and I kind of think about it if, like, you put like a beach ball in the swimming pool or in the ocean or something, and you're grabbing at it, the waves push it further away. Right. You know, soon as you stop reaching for it, maybe the water flow will just bring it back to you. So I've noticed that in life before, but coming from a more maybe academic approach than a beach ball in a swimming pool, how does it kind of relate in your mind? How do you make sense of that concept in your mind?
Nice. That's a great question. So it's about really focusing on what it is I really want, because typically we think about shit we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
In general, we end up thinking about it like, oh, what if this happens? What if this happens? Or it's
a defensive game, isn't it? I could 100% agree with you that I don't want this, but what do you want? I don't know. I just know I don't want that. So you're just defensive. You're not really opening to be offensive at all.
Right. So and we don't know that's what we're doing. We're focusing on what we don't want, which
Right.
results into more of the shit we don't want.
Right. Right.
So then once you really break down what it is that you do want and then only really focus on that, meaning you writing down your ideas that you have when you have your imagination, your visualizations or whatever, you write down what you saw.
Yeah.
And then okay, so you remind yourself of, oh, this thing is gonna happen, or I desire this thing. So let me not do this so I don't mess this up, or let me spend a little extra time on perfecting this so that way when the opportunity comes, I'll be ready.
Mm-hmm.
This is how this is how I break it down. Like once I have a goal in mind, then I just really focus on it, and I do whatever work I can do on my end to make sure that I'm ready for it when it comes. So that way, when it comes, bam, I've
But
already
you're not chasing. You
executed.
just
Yeah,
prepare.
but I'm not exactly. I'm not chasing, and I'm expecting it though too.
Yeah.
I'm preparing and expecting. I'm in a state of expectation because I know that this is something I desire and I can have it if I
Mm-hmm.
really want that. And so it's definitely taken a lot of practice and me like not I wasn't even aware that I was doing this stuff.
Hmm.
It wasn't up until maybe like 2016 where I became aware of how to apply this knowledge. Like I was doing it naturally, but I didn't know I was doing it.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So
I
it got a
didn't
little
know.
bit more defined around that time. Like you
Yeah.
kind of observed your own process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And also um looking through trial and error, I could see, oh shoot, I did this. I could see where I missed. I could see the results of why this thing happened because I was thinking this way about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mind was thinking these things, and then I got the result of that thinking.
Right.
So it's like, oh, once I changed my thinking about everything, I was like, oh, I was already doing this before.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, got you. I was just thinking Victor Wooten. I was just thinking Stevie Wonder. I was just thinking the Jacksons. I was just thinking, you know, Motown. I was just thinking playing my bass on large stages, or I
Yeah.
was thinking just playing on hit songs. I was thinking about being successful in the music industry. Oh, okay. And then it happened, but not really like because I really didn't do too many auditions, man. Like I didn't audition for the Jacksons. I didn't audition for American Idol. I didn't audition for none of this stuff.
Right.
It was all because I was at the right place at the right time. I was prepared. Someone might have made a suggestion. Someone saw me playing somewhere and asked me, so it was, how to is another thing that we have to let go of because we always wonder how is this going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the how really gets in the way because then we really limit ourselves to this one thing that we think could happen.
Right.
And then it's like, dang, you closing off all the different possibilities that can come your way by just thinking about how it's going to happen or worrying about it.
Is you mentioned kind of writing down. Is that part of your process too? Do you write down some of these things where you'd like to see yourself, and like do you go back and revisit that? Do you make it tangible in that degree?
Right here.
Okay. He's held for everybody just listening to the audio of this. Brandon just held up a very full notebook.
They're all over the place. I got the little ones. I got these.
Okay. Okay.
Full of. They're all written down because
Yeah.
in the Bible it says write the vision and make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
And I also believe in like once you put pen to paper, then it's like you putting it out there to the world, and then you're also showing yourself like, oh, it's like reminders. Because when I go back to open these journals, I was like, oh, I did this happen. Okay,
Yeah.
I wrote this down.
Do you keep a record? Do you go back and write down like, let's say, in one of the notebooks, it's play with Stevie or play with the Jacksons or beyond. Do you write down well, this is how it happened, and then like kind of reevaluate the whole process? Like, man, when I was 16, I wanted to play with the Jacksons. This many years later, touring with the Jacksons. Yeah, but it happened because I met this dude, just did my business, prepared for it. So do you write down to
Um,
encourage yourself?
that's a good question. I don't think I ever wrote it back down in retrospect, but I think things that I write down in the flow,
Yeah.
I'll go back and read it and be like,
Okay.
oh shoot, this really happened.
Yeah.
So it's more
That's
it's more it's
empowering
more
that
like
you
that.
you realize the successes you've had. It's easy to be just in the moment, forget,
Yeah,
be in the moment, kind of looking forward and forget about all the things that came to pass in a positive way. That's really easy to forget, I think.
it is.
Yeah.
We're programmed to remember the negative stuff too, more than the
Right.
positive stuff. And we'll go and the first thing we'll typically do is talk about the thing we didn't want to happen.
Right.
It's so interesting how we program. But I learned like I started recognizing, oh man, I need to stop talking about things I don't want.
Yeah.
I need to stop acknowledging things I don't want. And then when I have those thoughts of things I don't want, I can tell myself not to agree with them and then start thinking about the things I really want. And then so that way I can stay in that flow. But that's the
Right.
work. That's the hard work, so to speak. When and these are in quotation marks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hard because we people think we have to work hard and all this stuff to make it. And it's if there's value in being diligent, but you can work smart and not so like hard where you're breaking your back and you're not getting rest. Because you got to get rest to be able to be your best, the
Mm-hmm.
best that you can be at
For
some
sure.
point, but you still have to put in the work. It's just about balance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think thinking about or going about things this way really relieves you of because you don't want to be I don't want to be blaming people or like for my success or failures.
Right.
Like it was this person's fault that this didn't happen, or well, because of this person, this happened. Well, really, no, I had to be the one doing the work. Like I can hook up somebody with a gig
Yeah.
and they'll say, "Oh, Brandon, you did this," but yeah, I gave you a chance to go improve yourself.
Right. Right.
It's not that I did something because you still have to go and do it. So, you know, I started breaking all those things down and it started making a lot more sense.
Yeah. 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 So the diligence that you invest in is all the mental and heart game of it all. Is just staying like really committed in an expecting, assured way, and
Yeah.
mentally, you're mentally kind of in
Yes.
it and like keeping your mental game on point. I mean, obviously, you've clearly put time in and hours in on the bass, and you understand the style and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I think you're right, man. I think so much of all of it is strictly about like where you're at in it.
Right.
Like that's it. It's like it's not really the thing, getting the gig or whatever. Because I mean, you've had a chance to have a fantastic career, but you also know that every great gig comes to an end, you know.
Yeah.
And so like that doesn't make or break you. You're still you at the end of the day,
Hmm.
And I think that's great, man. And I think that
Oh
it's
man, thank you.
I think that's probably one of the best things that anyone's talked about on here. It's because it's like that's the human thing of it all, and that's
Yeah.
how that relates to music, which is just all about people. And so when Vic had to introduce yourself just by playing, it's because music's people. You don't need the words,
Right.
it's all there. So like that's all the humanity of music. Not all, because music's huge, but that's so much of the humanity of music is where your mind's at.
So true, man.
Man, it's
That's
beautiful.
so true. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
dude. You get
Pastor Funk. That's my artist
yeah,
name.
yeah, yeah. I know, I like it.
That's the because I I also like my father's a pastor, and then I was accepted my calling into the ministry when I was like maybe 21, 22. So I was preaching a few sermons back in Memphis, and I preached a few out here in
Really,
LA too. Yeah.
really.
But I don't have a religious point of view anymore. Like it's all about spirituality and self love and the God power within and tapping into that and creating because we were made in the image of the creator, which
Mm-hmm.
means that we are creators. It means
Mm-hmm.
whatever we think we can these microphones, this was an idea in somebody's mind.
Right.
And now here it is working.
Yeah.
All of this stuff that we see it all started in the mind.
Sure.
And so I feel as though like, okay, I have that same power in me. I know, and not just me, all of us have that same power. And Pastor Funk is I'm here to share that that knowledge. Like, oh, you can actually think about it this way, because we want to be happy. We want to have good health, happiness, love, success, prosperity, and money with ease, comfort, and joy. Like, that's my mantra.
Yeah.
Because the world doesn't want us to be that, to have that. The world, or the inorganic ones rather, they want you to not be focused on your power. They want you to always be weak. They want you to be from a lack mentality, or defensive, or what's the word?
Dependent.
Dependent and victimized.
Yeah.
Mindset, like, I'm a victim. Woe is me. No.
Sure. Right.
Actually,
if someone
no.
else would have done something, I would have had my shot. I would have got my shine. I would have got whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's so disgusting to me. Like, I refuse to give away my power like that.
Yeah.
Anymore to anyone, to myself, to my career, to challenges, to women, to
It seems like even, I mean, from what you spoke about, you've had a very strong assurance about who you are since kind of day one. Like, that was something that you're laughing because you're probably thinking about some shit your mom said or something like.
No, I've always been my own thinker.
Okay.
I never was like one to join into the trends and doing what everybody else was doing. I was also blessed to, I grew up around people that were older than me. Like, when I was a kid, like, I was around just nothing but the OGs all the time, because I was like the youngest, and I used to have to get babysitted all the time. So like, I was always around older people. So I just really gravitated to people who were like that wisdom, like just certain little things, like, I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do this.
Okay.
And these, it's really helped me throughout my years. I have this saying that I'm 8 and 88 at the same time. I'm 8 years old. When I was 8, I was already knew who I was. When I was 8, I was this way.
Yeah.
Like, so like 8, I have the innocence and imagination of an 8-year-old, and then I have the wisdom and stubbornness of an 88-year-old, all at the same time. It's a good balance for me. It keeps me grounded and open at the same time.
Nice. So when can we look out for this? When can we look out for the record?
I will say this December. Yeah, December. It could even be November, but December for sure. Like, maybe right before the new year starts.
Nice. You got some dates for the new year to go hit the road with it?
Well, we plan on doing a show this Christmas in Memphis, like, to kind of kick it off.
Nice.
Because of the holidays, we'll all be home.
Okay.
So we'll do we're planning on doing a show either this Thanksgiving or Christmas back home.
Sweet. You go back every year for the holidays?
Well, I used to go back a lot. Then I didn't go back for a while. Well, then you had the quarantine. You know, that kind of threw a wrench, kind of.
Yeah, more than everything kinda. About everything. That was the worst.
Right, but my parents, they came to see me this year, which is so amazing.
Nice.
I took them to Universal Studios, took them to the beach.
Cool.
That's the best, you know.
Yeah.
Got to hang out with my little niece, nephew, my mom, dad, sister, and brother-in-law and his mom. So everybody came. So
wow. The whole squad. Yeah.
Whole squad, man. Yeah. It was great.
That's cool.
So I'll be home to see them at one of the holidays this year.
Cool. Cool, man. Yeah. Dude, Brandon, this has been an absolute pleasure, dude.
Yo, thank you, Ryan. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.